So how about we start with an introduction? So Guido, can you tell us more about who you are, who do you work with, and what you do now? What have you been doing for most part of your e-commerce career?
Yeah, sure. And thanks of course for having me during this webinar. That's really nice. Yeah, what do you want to know? I have a background in cognitive psychology, and I always worked in e-commerce. But it was my start in e-commerce was just like a project manager. I was I was the first employee of a 2-3-person company. So basically, you do anything that's happening in an e-commerce agency startup. That's basically was my intro into e-commerce. Although I've been building some sites on the side before that during college, was the perfect side job during college to build some websites for people. To be clear, I am definitely not a developer. I would never claim that, but I was working with first with Mambo, for people that still remember that, and after that Joomla, and then with Magento, and but more and more. I started doing things with my background in psychology, so applying that to e-commerce, which usually leads to more the marketing side, right? So more the campaign side or optimization side, and basically the last 8 to 10 years, I've been working as a CRO specialist, optimizing e-commerce websites. And for that community side, usually as a hobby, an extraordinary hobby on the side, I've been doing a lot of community stuff. Before I joined Spryker, that was focused on Magento, the e-commerce platform. I think we all know, and that's also where I met Sander, which I know who's now at Shopware. And which I had the podcast with, which we were talking about earlier. Yeah, and the community building is something I always started doing. Whatever I was doing, I was trying to bring people together, trying to build relationships in that community. Maybe because I'm not a developer, and I had a name in my in the community with Mambo and Joomla and with Magento. I had some visibility, but then people started asking me, "Hey, can you build XYZ?" And then usually the answer was no, I cannot. But then I was happy to help them find agencies or freelancers that could help them. But I really enjoy that's really something that I enjoy doing. So. And now for the first time at Spryker, I'm doing that professionally. So that's fun. I joined Spryker in October last year. My official role is Global Business and Technology Evangelist, which basically means that I go out a lot to events, talk about Spryker, and still do a lot of community building. So one of the things I already set up, for example, is building a customer advisory board. So we got 15 customers together. And we do that in yearly cycles. We get them together a couple of times a year and ask them basically, yeah, what do we need to do to still be a great platform or the number one choice of platform for you in, I don't know, 2 to 5 years. And so we want to stay away of the daily the daily issues that everyone has, but it's a bit more long term. So in that sense, I still feel like I'm doing using a lot of my background in psychology and doing user research, right? That's what CRO is about a lot, and that's still what I'm doing for Spryker. I'm no longer doing A/B tests at Spryker, but definitely running experiments and doing user research. So that's definitely the fun part. So yeah, let's keep it at that for now.
Yeah. So. Yet I feel like you are far too modest because there are not that many people who have this like 360-degree point of view on every aspect, or also on technology and business. So this is a rare skill set. But yeah, thank you for this introduction. So Tim, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself for those who don't know who you are?
I enjoyed listening Guido a lot. I kind of feel I mean, maybe
what's to say now?
not the same story. I mean, I just felt like it's an inspiring and impressive story, actually, because I also graduated psychology and culture studies with journalism, and I never thought that I will be in IT or e-commerce. I think 10 years ago, I didn't even know what is e-commerce. I just knew that people do commerce online, right? And that's
and it seems to a lot of people, it seems to be a surprising combination or surprising background, right? Oh, you studied psychology and now you work in IT. But for me, it feels very natural because, and that's probably because the part of IT I'm working in. But I mean, it's about connecting technology with people, and a lot of things can go wrong there. So that's interesting.
I keep on telling people around that IT needs humanists. Like, somebody needs to connect people, somebody needs to promote, sell, and describe the features, explain how it works. Like, you need communication everywhere. So why not in the technology products? So here I am. I did my way in Sylius. Like, my entire IT career and entire e-commerce career is in Sylius. I was actually lucky to join Sylius at the very early stage. I was one of the few first employees. And now we are partners, and it's been an excellent story. I mean, full of ups and downs, but I learned everything actually here. I love learning by doing. I love learning by talking. I love such occasions like today. So thank you for the invite, Mikołaj, again. And my first touch with Sander and you, Guido, was when I was evaluating the European Magento communities, and I realized that OpenMage in France are doing Sylius on Magento hackathons. So maybe Dacento in Netherlands will do the same. So I reached out to Sander, and maybe out of you two, he simply replied to me as the first one, and then we talked. And but I am quite aware that you exist for quite some time. So inspiring what you've been doing for years. Really, I'm happy to be here.
It's going to be fun. I mean, I'm really looking forward to this talk and learning how Sylius is doing right now, because I'm not in sales, right? So I don't really look at other platforms that much. But it's really fun to see, and I think Sylius is one of the well, to start off with some comparison. I think so. Sylius is one of the
you're gonna describe our product, and I'm gonna describe your product.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Guys, it's a good thing that both of you have the background in psychology, because I don't, and you are going to be the ones who are going to talk the most today. And the second thing, which I find is going to lead us to an interesting discussion, is that neither of you is actually a sales guy, so you tend to be more honest and objective when it comes to
we do sales, but without selling. I mean,
exactly. You more have this consulting background, so we're
psychologists, so we can do sales without you knowing.
So that's going to be even more interesting. So
we can make you sell Bitbag to us.
Yeah, that's good luck. We can bet on that.
Maybe already wants that.
Yeah, okay, Guido, but you wanted to say something that was quite intriguing. Like, what's your?
So I wanted to say, when I look at the landscape, like I say, I'm not too involved with looking at other platforms, but I think Sylius is from a technology standpoint, it seems to be, again, as me as a non-developer, it seems to be the one that comes closest to Spryker in some way of thinking. Of course, there are differences still that we'll discuss today. But I think, and I've also heard like the scrutinizer score that Spryker and Sylius are very similar, and leaving everyone behind. So in that sense, I think that's interesting. That it's not that there are quite some overlap there. So I think that's why I find it interesting to do this talk and learn more about that. So
absolutely. But good point. We're all about quality, and I think that's something that we can get back to in a while. Okay, but let's give Nicholas the chance to to actually moderate.
Yeah, as I said, you guys have the psychological background, so we are going to be the ones talking today. But just to give you some background about myself, I actually have the developer background. Back in the days, I was working as a developer, then founded my own agency. Actually, we grew out of Sylius, so we were the early stage implementators. Basically, we based most of our business on top of it. Nowadays, we are also working with Shopware, Pimcore. We also partner with Sensio Labs, the creators of Symfony. And we are working on upper SMB enterprise e-commerce projects for B2C, B2B, multi-vendor marketplaces. So we have various touch points with different parts of the e-commerce market. And yeah, this whole initiative is basically about educating people, because actually Sylius versus Spryker is the topic that I see is occurring quite often when it comes to selling the e-commerce products. Since I don't have that much background in Spryker, I thought that it might be valuable to introduce someone from the ecosystem and have a nice conversation and compare objectively how do those platforms differ, because on the first shot they might seem very similar. They are flexible, high quality, capable of doing everything, but hey, the e-commerce market is quite large, and I believe that it's good to uncover the differences between those.
Cool. You guys don't do Spryker projects yet, right?
Yeah, we will see. Maybe you will convince me with your psychological tips today that we switch this trend.
I mean, you guys implement Sylius projects, right?
Yeah. So we are on the
Sylius
market
and Shopware
for 5 years now, and for us, Sylius and Shopware was a great move, because we've been doing Symfony for a while, and basically, technically speaking, it was much easier for us to hire Symfony developers and basically
but still you promise to be impartial, right, Nicholas?
Yeah, we'll see.
It feels a bit like it's 2 against 1 now.
It depends on the results of today's battle. So
maybe you're gonna sign a partnership with Spryker afterwards. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe Sylius is also going to start doing Spryker projects. Who knows?
That would be strange. Okay.
So all the different directions Spryker is going to do to Sylius projects, or even rewrite its core to be based on top of Sylius. That might be interesting. Okay, guys, because we are still on the introduction part, and it's been already 15 minutes, and there's a lot of topics I would like to cover today. So. So Tim, can you tell me a little bit about Sylius platform, a little of its history, its USP, and it would be great if you can tell it a little bit in terms of the B2B e-commerce context, because this is the topic I feel like we are going to talk
obviously
about.
I'm gonna direct more to Guido rather than you, because you perfectly know Sylius. So forgive me.
Tell me.
So Guido, Sylius, what is Sylius? It's not only a Swan versus Oryx, it's the entire ecosystem and the framework inside it. And the product itself is like, let's say, a set of bundles on the Symfony framework, 100% Symfony code, that are set to be anything that you desire within your e-commerce challenge. So it's very composable at its core, even before the composable phrase was so sexy. But what is important, we do not have like the full suite cloud approach. We're more like an open source code that should be used on-premise in very tailored, bespoke solutions. So the more custom challenge you have, the more crazy requirement from the customer, then Sylius is usually the best fit, because it's very flexible. So we do not ship that many features. Like I would say, comparing to Spryker, we might have maybe 70-80% of Spryker features out of the box, but the remaining 20% is achievable via plugins, obviously integrations, but also custom code. So the philosophy is that we keep it light, we keep it highly integratable, easy to host, easy to scale, and we just do e-commerce and e-commerce only. We're trying to avoid doing CMS, CRM, PIM, ERP. We'd rather discuss what not to do than what to do in our roadmap. So this is the overall concept, to keep a very light, headless, high quality Symfony e-commerce framework. A little history. Well, it started 11 years ago in one of the block of flats in Łódź, the very center of Poland, the third biggest city in Poland. And it started by Paweł, Sylius founder to this date, leading the company, who was simply in challenge of selling his mom and aunt cosmetics. And he didn't like the platforms that were on the market. So he didn't like Magento, didn't like PrestaShop, but he liked Symfony. So he learned Symfony too, and he created Sylius. And to this date, we are the oldest in terms of the timeline of using Symfony. Like, I'm not sure how about Spryker. I'm almost sure that neither Shopware nor Spryker nor PrestaShop based on Symfony to this level as we did for all these years. And I think that
so Spryker was founded in 2014.
Okay.
But we so we're not fully on the Symfony train. We use components of Symfony, but not fully. No, correct.
Yeah, I remember there was some micro framework called Silex, right, in your core, and I'm not sure if it's replaced, but I know that you also got inspired by Symfony, and at the early stage, that's for sure. And yeah, this is our USP actually, that we are the closest to the Symfony. And it's, again, a little bit of a dev argument. I mean, developer argument. And that's why the Scrutinizer score is so high, because we are, in our very origins, we are backend developers. I mean, I was probably the first person in the company that was doing something else than programming. So here we are. Yeah. That's nice. It for the short intro. I can speak a lot, but yeah, I didn't say about B2B, but maybe let's give Guido the chance to introduce, and then I can refer to B2B.
We will get back to it for sure. So yeah, that's very true. That back in the days, especially, that there were not that many fully Symfony-based solutions. So everyone was like using the components, but yet introducing its own like. Reinventing the wheel strategy and wrapping it a little bit with components and marketing the solution. Like, hey, we are Symfony based. No, you're not. You're just using components that doesn't make you Symfony based.
Yeah,
but
fine.
Yeah, I think that's very different today, you know, because even Presta, also Shopware, Spryker, now those solutions are all Symfony based. Yet I feel like Sylius is still, very connected to Symfony ecosystem, and it's like this feel like home experience for a developer who knows Symfony. Yeah, and that's from my side. That's probably its biggest USB at the moment. Let's talk about Spryker.
Not to be partial.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm just trying to be objective and share some of my thoughts. But let's talk about Spryker, because this is also something we
to continue a bit on that. So we do see that when developers have experience with Symfony, it's easier to onboard them on Spryker. Like I said, we're not fully based on Symfony framework, but we use components from Symfony, so that's easier. But I mean, I guess the same goes for Java developers. That's easier to.
But isn't like Spryker? Certain trap, but isn't like Spryker nowadays based on full stack Symfony? I was actually no, it's still using component. Oh, sorry, I was thinking that it was actually based on full stack Symfony.
No, unless I missed an update, of course. I mean,
okay.
So to introduce the company, like I said, 2014, it actually came from some people working at Zalando that spun some things off. We have a privately held headquarters in Berlin and New York, and Spryker focuses on what we call business models that go beyond the default retail, e-commerce, and desktop. and focus on the companies that, again, what we call the sophisticated non-commodity transactional business models, and sophisticated. If you really narrow it basically the difficult business models, the more complex. If you need something that you can just pull off the shelf, please use Shopify. That's not us. There's a huge market for that, but that's not what Spryker is focusing on. And it is indeed compared to Sylius, we're a PaaS solution foremost. Headless API-based architecture, and we focus on that enterprise market. I think the biggest chunk of our clients is using is a B2B company, or at least using B2B components of Spryker, but we enable different business models. So if it's B2B, B2C, direct to consumer, or like an enterprise marketplace, or becoming your own marketplace, that's possible. Unified commerce, doing things with your connecting your real life stores with Spryker, that's all possible. So that's that's what we do. Maybe good to know. The code is the source is open, so we are on GitHub, but it's more like open code and not an open source license. So I think what Sander told me, I don't really care as long as I can see the code, then I'm fine with it. As a developer, I don't care if there's what the license is and what that means. As long as as a developer I have full access to the code, you can call me happy. So that's at least that's definitely what we provide.
But that's really cool. I mean, we learned about it like 3 years ago, that Spryker has this open code approach, and we're thinking like maybe that's a good approach for our license product, because Sylius standard is like, you know, we ship everything for free, open source MIT license. But this 5% or 10% of features that you can buy extra, they are not visible unless you buy them, and you download the package of code, and then you have access to it. So very limited amount of like customers, actually only customers can see it, and also partners that implement it. So I've guessed that one day we're gonna follow the same path, because it's not fully decided, but I think it's very wise, because why not? I mean,
it's a free advertising after all, and it's more transparent. So definitely.
And on the enterprise stage, like talking about enterprise solutions, I'm not sure anyone else does it. Like if you think about Adobe Commerce, SAP, IBM WebSphere, is Commerce Tools doing it? Like, can you see the code of Commerce Tools? I'm not sure. So that's quite.
They're fully cloud-based. So
yeah, that's quite unique. That's what I like. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's not necessarily that you don't see the code, right? I mean, we're also fully cloud-based, so.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you know, but nowadays, everyone is thinking like either you are on-premise or you are open source, and you can be something in between. And you know, there are even I recently read a post on LinkedIn from someone from Commerce Tools that, hey, if you are using open source, you need to be like 24/7 taking care of things. And
yes, I've read that post, and I also wrote an article in response to that.
That's not true.
We can link to that. I'll post it in the chat. Yeah.
Don't you mention the product owner of Commerce Tools?
No,
maybe I don't remember that guy's name, but
I think Kelly posted something like this, that he cannot understand open source for enterprise commerce.
I feel like that there are more people basically repeating the same thing, and actually, you know, enterprise companies are starting to believe it, and it's not true. So yeah, you know, this is the maxim that is repeated by cloud-based solutions, because it's comfortable for them to talking. So.
And to concretely go into that, I think, and I saw exactly the same happening with when it was with Magento. the companies, especially enterprise companies, they really don't care about the license of the product. They care about the implications of that, and the implications of open source, and that license is there, like the fee that comes with that, and the benefits of having open code, and then especially in the enterprise landscape. I remember was one of the first partner meetings that I organized in the Netherlands. I don't know, 2011-ish, 10, 11. And then the partners actually said, well, Magento wants to move into the enterprise market, but it's only, back then it was like 5K license or something. It's way too cheap. We cannot compete with, back then it was a Hybris Intershop. We cannot compete with them because it's way too cheap. So that's something Magento definitely learned from.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot of times, that you have to make it pricey to make it look enterprise. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it's the open. That's the decision that the founders of Spryker made. That is not necessarily about it doesn't have to be an open source license, but we do want to give everyone the benefits of open code. So that's what Spryker did. And one final thing maybe to add, you mentioned the feature set. Yeah, Spryker has. I think around 120 plus features right now that are listed on our websites, product.spryker.com, and we bundled those in roughly 30 business capabilities. So it's the package business capabilities that Spryker has. That's well, it's not our term, the package business capabilities. It's Gartner coined this term some time ago. And that's what we focus on, and yeah, compared to.
But that's also heavily inspired by e-commerce tools. I mean, I'm not sure what's your view, but my view is that they kind of lead this MACH trend. And
microservices, API, cloud native, and headless. Yeah.
Yeah. Not everyone knows that. Yeah. Thank you. So good explanation. But yeah, I think they led the way, but everybody now is trying to propose the same. For example, in Sylius right now, in Sylius Plus, we are selling modules rather than the full package. And if I understand you correctly, you provide the package business capabilities. But my question is, like, if they are from the tech perspective as separate models, like standalone packages of code, or how do you distribute it? Can I buy like maybe, I don't know, one or two of this business capabilities and not the full package?
No, it's a full package.
It's a full package. Okay.
Yeah, and then compared to well, we're Spryker is not part of that Mac Alliance because we think
we are neither.
Yeah. And Commerce Tools is obviously they were the founding partners, I guess, of the Mac Alliance. The way we see it is that well, you have the monoliths, the Magentos on one hand, and then you may have the fully microservice-based platforms on the other hand, like Commerce Tools. We see ourselves a bit in between, maybe like 3/4 to the microservices side, but fully microservices. I don't think there are a lot of businesses in the world even for which it makes sense to go fully microservices.
Especially in e-commerce, you know.
Especially in e-commerce, yeah.
Yeah.
So and that's we have a bit of a hard time to wrap our heads around the whole Mac Alliance for e-commerce, because we don't think it makes sense for especially the microservice part. And for me personally, I think that the headless part of that MACH is also a bit. I mean, we also provide headless, obviously, but for Spryker, and I think also for Sylius, everything is decoupled. So of course, yeah, sure, the head is decoupled, but everything is decoupled. So there's like I said, we have the 30 business capabilities. There's a lot of things you can decouple if you want to use another CMS or another I don't know, gift cards engine, another checkout, another whatever. Sure, go ahead. So everything is decoupled. It's not just the head that is.
It's usually called modular monolithic approach that you can basically split everything and replace it, which is also great for using the best of breed approach, which tends to make more sense in terms of e-commerce.
That's what Sylius does too, right? I think that makes
Yeah,
more sense because
I feel like in e-commerce everyone is doing it, even those people who are talking about microservices. In reality, they are doing best of breed approach. So yeah. Okay, guys, let's stick to the B2B e-commerce topic. So Guido, the next question for you. In your opinion, we know all that the e-commerce market is changing constantly, and B2B e-commerce is no different. So what are the needs of today's B2B e-commerce? I know that it's very different for SMBs, for enterprise, but for the sake of this discussion, let's stick to maybe upper SMBs and enterprises, because I feel like those solutions fit those segments best. Yeah, in your experience, what are those needs, and how Spryker meets those needs?
I think the main thing that we see is that the line between B2B and B2C gets blurrier and blurrier, and that's also what we see in practice with the platform. Like I said, Spryker offers modules for all these different kinds of businesses, and then it's interesting to see that there are a couple of B2C businesses that use modules from B2B and the other way around, or the more traditional, what's traditional B2B or traditional B2C, and they start mixing it up. So that's definitely blurring the line. And I think from where I come, more the usability side, B2B users are more and more expecting that same experience that they have when they go home and go shopping, even if it's at maybe what you think as a horribly designed website like Amazon, but it's very functional. It works. It's very clear and it's very fast to do something. That's something that you would like to have as a B2B user too. If you're still in a very clunky environment, or worse, you need to use your fax machine. That's not going to help your conversions as a B2B company. So that's definitely what those lines are being blurred. Besides that, B2B, the speed of adaptation, B2B traditionally is slower in adapting stuff than B2C companies, but they're picking up speed definitely. Like I said, what Spryker is focusing on, the sophisticated business models are catching on to this. They're always, as any company, interested in a lower cost of ownership and higher ROIs. So that's definitely something that they're focusing on, and all those different tools that you can reuse from the B2C side are focused on showing why people should be buying from you as a B2B company, and you more and more need to be convincing as a B2B company. It's no longer like in the old days that we had a contract with you, so we must buy from you. That's less and less. Of course, it still exists, but that's less and less the case. So you need to be convincing. Why are people buying from you? And telling them also as a B2B company, doing that storytelling, telling them, oh yeah, we're a sustainable company, we're good for the environment, or whatever works for you in your industry, and what's important for those customers. Those things more and more become relevant. So that's again blurring that line. And the last thing I'd like to say is that we see that's an interesting trend. Is B2B marketplaces and companies becoming their own marketplace. We have one customer doing this into the extreme with over 1 billion products on the Spryker platform. They sell electronics, so all the components in your phone and in your computer and whatever electronics, they have those components, and there are an insane amount of components that they have. And they've started this, and they started this only like 3-4 years ago, and already over 1 billion products, and there's like their average cart size is like $8,000, I assume. euros, dollars, doesn't really matter. But it's big, and that's those marketplaces are really interesting to see happening. It's difficult to get right, but if you get it right, it can be huge for your business. You can completely disturb your industry if you get that right.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's
Yeah, I like this conclusion that actually, back in the days, the B2B e-commerce was actually yet another interface for your contractors to buy from you.
Yeah, basically.
Now it's actually becoming the first touch point with your company and scaling up. So this is probably why the line gets a little bit more blurry, and you need to have the same customer experience, the same actually, do the same that you do for B2C customers. So have a good mobile experience, customer experience, and do everything online. So rather than count that someone is going to buy because they already signed with you. So okay, but the same question goes for Tim. It's going to be difficult to add anything to that discussion because I feel like we cover many of the
just say I agree with all the and we can move on. That's fine.
To be honest, I agree.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what we observe as well. Like before, the B2B websites were just catalog of products, and you had some phone number to call sales, and I want this from the catalog. And right now you have the full story. B2B is so sexy as B2C. Like maybe it's not, you cannot buy electronics as you would do with fashion, but it's getting into that direction. And what we see, especially in among our requests and leads, is that because what is your choice right now? If you are a B2B merchant, you probably evaluate B2B commerce platform in Google, right? And there is Spryker, there is Commerce, there is SAP probably, as always. And sometimes it might not be enough. Like what we hear always from B2B merchants is that their requests are especially custom. Like B2B is always super custom, and like every business believes they are unique. Probably there is
B2C businesses think this as well.
Yeah. To be honest, but I would say that with B2B, it's more often close to truth than within B2C. Of course, there is plenty of companies like your company, right? But we all believe that we're unique, and that's it. And the thing is that you have very advanced and crazy sales process. You have this multi-logins, you have shared wish lists, you have some really fucked up pricing configurators, taking data from big matrix of strange prices coming from various ERPs. We've seen it, we've been there, and probably no solution is ready for it. Like out of the box, there is no platform for it. So sometimes you have to choose which platform will make it easier for you to actually build the flow that you want to build and integrate every single step in the checkout process, for example. So I wouldn't add anything else to what Guido say other than that B2B is really
might be very complex B2C in reality.
No, I mean, marketplaces are one thing, but B2B together with marketplaces is like a super combo that probably the biggest company realized that they have this opportunity to mark their presence with making themselves an ecosystem than just one brand. So they build marketplaces around the brand, and they provide the opportunity to exchange goods on their platforms.
I think marketplaces are especially interesting.
And nobody, sorry, just to finish, nobody really realizes how powerful is this market. I mean, the B2B products are everywhere, every single place. Like your microphones, your computers, your furniture, they all consist of parts that are being sold via B2B processes. So it's crazy, and this market is still very not used. I mean, I didn't read any data, but I think recently the digitalization of B2B is very on the very early stage. There are plenty of companies still doing old-fashioned commerce. COVID has sped it up, but still there's plenty to do. So
we see it in the process in the distribution chain, that this is probably the best proof that the B2B commerce is still yet not that advanced. Yeah, so that's very true. Still a way to improve. Yeah, so let's maybe go with other questions. Okay, so Tim, now it's going to be one for you. What do you feel like is the perfect B2B merchant for Sylius?
I think I already said it actually, among other words, that the more custom and really a challenge that is not possible to really build from the off-the-shelf solutions, the better. So I cannot name this customer, but actually we were in the same tender with Spryker 3 years ago in Germany, very big player that had a very complex agriculture marketplace with 30 different associations using, I think, at least 5 or 10 different ERPs. And all of these ERPs were generating, data with prices, and it had to be calculated properly. And you can have a checkout coming from 3 different associations, having 3 different price calculators, and that kind of challenges are excellent for Sylius, but only when heavily customized and only when integrated. Because a little disclaimer, I would never say that you can achieve it all with Sylius and with Sylius only. Like, you have to have a proper message queue middlewares. You have to have probably custom Symfony applications. You have to have excellent PIM like Akene or PIM Core, etc., etc. So, but yeah, Sylius is the place that facilitates the transaction. So takes all the information coming from all the system, puts it in one checkout, and then send the final information of the order to the OMS, for example. So yeah, that's it. I would say very, very custom B2B. Already after a thorough research on the market and denying already solutions that are better for B2B, like Spryker is, because let's not deny it, Spryker is far better suited for B2B than Sylius. In Spryker Origins, in like what you guys do at Spryker, you really know this domain and you provide much more B2B features out of the box. So that's it. You just have to be aware of what are the weaknesses and advantages of every platform. And I would say that if you cannot see the modules available for you to go through, then consider Sylius, and that's it.
Yeah, thank you. You don't.
I almost don't have to say anything. You already did.
Yeah, Tim sold Spryker for you, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think yeah, agreed there. I mean, large enterprises with difficult or sophisticated business models. Definitely where our strength is. Like I said, the fun thing with Spryker is that we can support different business models. So if you have and the marketplace and B2B, and maybe also want to support the retailers that are connected to you and want to support a shop for them, that's fine. That can all be done through Spryker. I think where we may differentiate is that Spryker has quite a large support organization around this, but with professional services. I'm not sure how this is done with Sylius, but we have I think we've currently we're at roughly 600 people at Spryker now, providing services for those clients. So we help you. Well, for some clients, the biggest clients, we do implementations, but we have a whole partner network, just like Sylius, of course. But we are very active as Spryker itself with connecting you with those partners and helping you with that. So we definitely go beyond the software and the technology itself.
Can you say like percentage of let's say people that operate in, let's say, dev department and services department, like how many of this crucial projects you actually implement, and how many you distribute to other partners? That's really interesting, because we were also thinking about it, to be honest.
Distribute to other partners? How do you mean? Or?
Yeah, I mean, like, what would be, in your opinion, the general, let's say, division between of your services and development? Like how much of consulting and how much of it is really developing projects? Yeah.
I think the ideal situation for would be for the product company to focus on the product itself.
Absolutely.
And only on the product.
Yeah.
But then, of course, you need to make money, and there are some. and of course, with my background in Magento, I really like to have a big ecosystem, and it's really hard. I mean, Magento did a really great job growing that ecosystem, right? Intentionally or not, we can discuss about that. But they had a huge ecosystem with very strong agencies and community members around the world. And if you then, as a company, can fully focus on the product and make enough money to do that, that's great. But there are some companies, not necessarily but in addition to that, there are some companies out there that are willing to pay a premium for the creators of a system to make something, and then sometimes it's really hard to say no to that, because that's then you don't say no to a big check, and that can also then lead to growth of the company, right? And that's also the balance that you need to strike, and there's some conflict of interest there, of course, because you want to grow the ecosystem, which means as a platform you need to give projects to the ecosystem. So usually the leads come into the creator of the product, and then you need to distribute those, and you don't want the ecosystem to feel like, okay, we just get the breadcrumbs, the leftovers,
exactly.
So it's interesting to strike a balance there.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm aware of.
Yeah.
That's why I ask, how do you manage it? Because what we do so far is distributing projects to partners, obviously, and supporting the crucial ones via set of consulting services, days, whatever. But
that's definitely what we're also moving towards, right? We do less and less projects ourselves, but we do, and that's what we find it important. So we do really hire a lot of people to do that, then to support that agency and that client. To basically, then we don't do the development anymore, but we have someone overseeing the project.
So we are exactly on the other side, because right now we're searching for a good project to do it on our own, to finally eat our own dog food. So to strike the balance between distributing to partners and also, but knowing your product in action, that's something that I think any product company should have at least one big project a year to actually see what the hell is this product? Like, how does it integrate?
It really helps to have this implementation context, but yet it's very different to build the product and run the service company. That's fundamentally.
Yeah, I mean, those are two completely different things, right? So you need to keep those separate, and you also need to be aware that that you're running the risk that your product becomes more and more something that's tailored to, I mean, 1, 2, maybe 10, whatever the number is, but those specific clients that you already service, that you forget about the whole ecosystem. And that's also where I come in at Spryker, collecting that feedback. That's why I started the customer advisory boards with all the external clients that are served by external agencies. Those are definitely included in there to see, okay, well, what should we do for you? So we are aware of that and get that feedback into the company. Does that answer your question?
Mine or Nicholas?
Yours. Yours.
I'm not sure, but we might discuss in another opportunity, because I really need like a practical, probably practical input of how to manage. Probably you have some heavy selection of the crucial projects that should be done by you, not the partner, and that's really.
Yeah, I mean, there are always those projects that's once in a while coming your path that you think, okay, this can be pivotal for not necessarily for the company, but also for the project itself, right? If we do this, we can invest so much in developing something that we can then include in the project, and that can be pivotal for a project. Yeah.
Christian from your company just confirmed that you're searching for the opportunities to actually develop new features within the project. So I think it's always about searching for win-win scenarios, and I totally agree.
Good.
Thank you, Christian.
Let's stick to the product for now. We can always discuss this later on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So, Guido, speaking of the features about of B2B market, so what kind of features or top feature set is Spryker shipped with or available in the community?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tricky one to answer. I'm not sure what you want to know, because I mean, I can just read our feature list.
Yeah, but that's
probably not the most interesting thing for the webinar, but we provide a lot of B2B features. Indeed, it's like I said, Spryker. I think percentage-wise, most companies are B2B companies. That's definitely a strength of Spryker. So we offer definitely obviously the core commerce functionality that B2B companies need. Custom specific prices, configurable bundles, scheduled price updates, the double opt-in for customers, those kind of things. There's order management in there. Again, you can use what we have, or you can swap it for the order management that you already have in-house. I mean, that happens often with enterprise, right? They have their own software in place already, but that's something we can do. We have return management included. The invoices that sit in there doing RFQs, that's possible. We have workflows that you can add a workflow and for company accounts, that you have approval processes in there. Set those business rules, set company user roles. That's something that's possible. You can have sales assistants. You can do business on behalf of a company. And then we have all the multi-store things that you have in B2B that you can brand for your specific customer, for example. Yeah,
that's a lot of
features.
I feel like you covered the most important ones. So how about Sylius?
Well, as I said, Spryker is much better out-of-the-box fit for B2B, because we transparently say that this is B2C first e-commerce platform out of the box. However, as Guido said, there are more and more features that fit both B2B and B2C models, because they are simply indispensable in both. So, for example, role access management, as Guido said, is the same in Sylius Plus. Multi-source inventory, so you could assign and integrate multiple inventory sources. You have this multi-store feature, so out of the box Sylius provides already all the currencies, all the tax zones, and all the languages in Sylius Standard. But in Sylius Plus, for example, you can also launch a totally separate store with separate administration. You just change the payment and shipping solutions that are preferred for a specific country, but literally you can copy paste a store and set up a totally different legal entity as well, which is popular in B2B. That B2B, big B2B companies operate from multiple legal entities in every region, for example. So that's also supported. Loyalty, I'm not sure if that's so much a thing of B2B, but more and more I can see it.
Well, depends on how you look at it. I mean, the B2B previously they had these long-term contracts, right? That's I'm not sure if you call that loyalty, but they definitely need to stick to the same company and buying from them. So
exactly. So you have some bonus points, right? After some big transactions, you get some discounts. That's also B2B and B2C. Well, as I said, like if you install Sylius now, you get like 80% of most common e-commerce feature out of the box. So you have the checkout, you have the catalog management, you have the customer management, promotion engine, and the rest is I'm not sure. Define a B2B feature actually. What is unique what is a unique B2B feature? Probably a multi-login that multiple people from the same company can log in, and that's really unique for B2B, which we don't have. but there are companies that provide plugins for it. For example, Beatback, but let's not advertise them too much because Beatback does provide a good B2B suite, which is like a powerful plugin to Sylius. Yeah, so that's it.
Yeah.
That's a fun part about having a community, right? You don't have to build everything yourself.
Yeah. But on some point, you have to decide whether or not to do a B2B model on yourself, and then what?
And that's actually a significant difference between Spryker and Sylius, because in Spryker you get all of those features out of the box, but you get them shipped as a whole package. You can like pick what you want and basically extend it or whatever, which is great for most B2B cases, as far as I can tell. But yet on the other side, there's Sylius, which is like this lightweight e-commerce framework where you can like pick what you need and then customize it, adapt it to the business. And I feel like that's probably what differs those two solutions most.
What happens like if I am a merchant right now interested in Spryker and I want the marketplace model? Is it like it's an extension to your standard B2B Spryker package, or it's like a whole package? Like is a marketplace a separate product, or it's the same product with the extension?
For as far as I know, it's all the same product, and you can use the modules suited for that. And maybe to add to that, we didn't touch upon it, but the model behind that is that you can use everything, but the pricing is all GMV based. So and it doesn't really matter what you use from Spryker, but then you pay because based on how you use it, how much you use it, basically, not what you use, but how much it is used.
It's a good chance to talk about pricing. Actually, I know it's on your agenda, Nicholas.
Yeah, and it's actually the next question I have. We can stick to the team. Yeah, let's talk about the commercial model, because this is probably something very interesting for the target audience. How does it look like in terms of Sylius? I know that there have been some changes recently.
So let's make a bit of a context. 3 years ago, there was no licensed product. We've been just selling the services, partnerships and everything around the open source free product. But you cannot really scale a business. You cannot build a company like this forever, unless you become a consulting company only. So we invented the Sylius Plus, which is the powerful extension to the standard code base. It's nothing else. Technically speaking, it's a plugin, but it contains a lot of different features. So it's probably the biggest plugin that we have in our ecosystem, and it's of our own creation, not any partner. And we also got inspired, obviously, by other players. We always do a lot of research. We love to get inspired and to learn. So we got inspired from Adobe. We got inspired from Spryker, and our pricing was GMV based as well for the last 2 years. But only recently, in the first quarter of this year, we decided to make a little shift and add other KPIs. So right now it's being defined on various parameters. So GMV is one of the parameters, but also it's like if it's a greenfield project or a migration project, whether you sell nationally or internationally, whether it is B2B, which is less out of the box, so it means cheaper, or B2C, which is more out of the box in what we provide in the license package. So we believe that this way we provide more true value for money. So you actually pay for what you use, and we wanted to avoid a situation where you pay for the package and you only use 1 or 2 features out of 6 provided. And we got a lot of feedback like, hey, can I buy only return management, or can I buy only multi-source inventory? And we always said, no, you cannot. It's everything is tweaked together, so you have to buy the whole package. But yeah, you cannot put your head on the wall over and over again. So we decided to switch. And right now, the product itself is very modularized. So you can buy exactly the feature that you need. You can buy the SLA level that you actually need, and you can buy the package of consulting services according to your needs. So you compose your pricing in the composable commerce of different models. So you take 2 features out of 6, you take, let's say, middle level of SLA, and you take 5 consulting days, and you get the final quote. And it can really differ from small pricings, like you mentioned, Guido, 10 years ago. We sometimes sell our license for 5K, but we sometimes sell for 70. And it really depends on the size of the customer, the complexity of the implementation, and various different features and parameters. So as far as I know, it's still at least half, even if you take into account the highest possible pricing that I mentioned. I think it's still like half less than Spryker, but also the product is entirely different. Spryker provides much more out of the box together with hosting, for example, which we don't. So it's, you always compare. I mean, if you are a project manager nowadays and you get this challenge to, hey, compare 20 most popular platforms for me because I need to migrate on something, then you have extensive table, a lot of calls, and
a lot of webinars to watch like this one. So
for example,
Guido. So
welcome.
Same question goes for you. So
like I said, so it's GMV, mainly GMV, but we also look at orders, AOV, the number of SKUs and the regions that you're in. So I think that's very simple, very similar. Not simple, but it's we're competitively priced with the market, with the competitors that we are at. We usually see when we go to pitches, it's usually Adobe, SAP, Salesforce, commerce tools sometimes that we see, and we're competitively priced with those. So that's usually pricing is not why you choose or not choose the system usually. Luckily, we have a really good platform that can win on that end. Now, and the fun thing or the interesting thing I think with Spryker is indeed, like I said, the cloud infrastructure and the operations, that's all managed under one contract. So that is simple and much easier for companies. And we're also there might be an interesting addition. We are launching our own app store called app orchestration platform, as we call it, for our PaaS solution, and that will also be managed under one contract, under a Spryker contract. So we have all these third parties that you can connect, that you can try. So, and you don't have to go to a payment provider or email marketing tool or whatever we have in that app store. You don't have to get separate contracts with them. That all goes through Spryker. So that's I think that makes things a lot easier for the clients. Yeah. And like I said before, we go beyond just the technology. We do, and it's also, I think, necessarily based on that we are doing our pricing on GMV and all those other metrics that really ties our success to the success of our customers, right? If they are not successful, if we just implement something with a fixed fee and then they go bust or they have a really bad year, the customer has a really bad year, that doesn't work because we have this pricing model, which luckily a lot of companies are adopting too. I think that makes more sense. It's
just fair.
It ensures that your success are connected to them, and that you have the same drive to make that.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit more about numbers? How much? Because Tim told us on average, or what is the range in terms of licensing?
No, yeah, like that. Yeah, I mean, because it's GMV, it's the range is really big. Because those customers' ranges are really big. So it doesn't really, I feel it makes really much sense to attach any number there. But like I said, it's competitively priced to competitors like the Adobe, SAP, Salesforce. So think in those ranges, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You can always reach out to the contact page and ask for pricing. So.
Of course. Yeah. But you get the same answer
right here in the bottom corner.
We'll probably
it's the same answer, but then you might be able to fill out the calculator, or the person you call can do that. Yeah.
it's also very complex pricing, so it makes sense to talk first. So we'll link the contact form in the description. Okay, so for now, maybe let's skip about the question regarding numbers and case studies, because we have some other interesting questions too, and we are running out of time. And I feel like, most interesting cases are distributed under NDA, so there's not like anything you can talk about. So the average time to market for MVP launch, because we know time is money, and nowadays everyone wants to have a good e-commerce as soon as possible. So how long does it take to implement an average let's say B2B project on top of Sylius team?
Yeah, I posted oh, sorry, Sylius first. Sorry.
I was also thinking about Spryker. Well, average is a difficult question.
Yeah,
I'd say average could be 9 months, but it's average because the fastest are 3 to 6 and the longest are 2 years or more. And it is never only about Sylius. I'm not sure what is your experience, Guido, but it's always about like the very custom and complex digitalization process that demands replacement or creation of other tools like PIMs, like ERPs, integrating it all together. So
obviously there are many factors, but let's face the truth that the good e-commerce platform without the technical depth should make it easier. And obviously in the world that we are living in right now, there are many solutions that make it actually harder or even impossible at some point. I've seen implementations that took like 2 years and then they were basically trashed because it didn't, the merchants didn't see it ending. So
I'd say estimate at least 6 months, but count more, depending obviously on your size. I mean the company size. I guess there are many more SMB examples in our portfolio as for B2B than for Spryker, which is more enterprise oriented, and enterprise are even more complex. So I'm very curious what Guido shall say about it actually.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you said, I mean, the biggest chunk of time you spend in these projects has usually nothing to do with the e-commerce platform, but with integrating it in existing systems. I mean, if you do a vanilla shop for someone, then and you don't have to take care of any other integrations or systems, and then it's fine. And then you can get up and running really fast. But it's about these integrations, right? And that just takes time usually. And that's then it doesn't really matter if you have Sylius or Spryker or whatever. You still need to spend that time to integrate those platforms. I did post a user case that we have published on our website. I put a link in the Slack. That's Toyota, where we launched a B2B store in 3 weeks. So that's also you asked about MVP and how fast it can be done.
Yeah.
Well, this is a B2B MVP case that's in 3 weeks. But yeah, of course, the average is definitely in terms of months.
But this Toyota case was like a vanilla, like totally new business idea, or was it like an existing business for Toyota?
Toyota is existing.
I know it's like, but I mean the business branch.
Of course, no, of course, it was a vanilla shop, yeah.
Okay, so
but they did have so it was integrated or not integrated. They were connecting a lot of B2B stores. So they had there were like 200 dealerships that they had to add their 4,000 product variations, and that's I think in the first year that sold them a couple of million products or vehicles. But that is possible if you don't have something like that, and you can replace another system, like an offline system. That's probably what happened here. I don't know the case intimately, but I can assume that that's what happened. And then you can be up and running really fast. But yeah. like Tim said, yeah, it's more likely in terms of months to a year, completely depending on the complexity.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay. The differences, I would assume the differences between different platforms is not that big. That's not going to be, whether you pick Sylius or Spryker, that's not going to be, maybe that's is going to save you or cost you maybe a couple of weeks. I don't know. And I also cannot say in benefit of which platform. That again totally depends on your platform.
Yeah, also
and what you have.
On the specific case, on the team that's going to implement, obviously, a number of factors. Yeah, but the most important conclusion is that probably neither Sylius nor Spryker is going to make it harder for you to implement, which is probably something that most B2B merchants want to avoid. And yeah, that's why I wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, and I mean, it is, especially with Spryker, I think because we have those these packaged business capabilities, it's relatively easy to implement Spryker and have it up and running very quickly, while still using your own systems that you already have in place. And then one by one, you can start replacing those systems, those legacy systems, with things that Spryker is already providing. So the initial setup can actually be really fast, and we actually have Spryker. There are cases where Spryker is running as a backend for Magento, and then one by one you can replace elements. You can start with the checkout, for example. You can replace elements and start building from there, right? And that is because it's so modular. That makes it, I think that makes it much easier for a company to adopt that platform, and then step by step start replacing something, instead of what you had to do previously with all the monolithic systems. Then you had to do it all at once, right? And that was way more risky than when you use a modular platform.
I can totally rely. I mean, I can totally confirm the same observations. Sometimes the other way around, that Magento stays as a backend for headless checkout on Sylius, because Magento still holds some catalog, you know, and it's pretty common in the market nowadays that a lot of companies migrate from Magento. So probably the package business approach is great because of you have to keep your business running. So the more modular your platform is, the better for the merchant. You can just take a chunk by chunk and replace the old system with the new functionalities.
Yeah, that also makes the question a bit difficult. Like, how long does it take? Because you do it in steps, right? Like previously, you did it all in you had to do it in one step. Today we use you have to do it with a big bang, which led to a lot of failures, I guess.
It's super risky.
It's super risky. I've seen it. I've experienced it a couple of times on the merchant side. When I worked on the merchant side, that they did, even if it's not a platform, even if it's just like a big redesign, a lot of things can happen there. That's very risky. So I think that's also part the reason why companies like to move towards platforms like ours, and with ours I mean Sylius or Spryker. That's lower that risk of moving to another platform.
Yeah, it's definitely always pain in the butt and something that most.
I think what really helps nowadays is the headless approach. So you've got this wonderful PWA solutions like the storefront, for example, that allows you to still use the old platform, integrate the new front end, and then replace the backends when the time comes. Yeah. So I've seen that a lot of migrations are going this path.
Yeah, and you can also do it like a vertical by vertical or country by country. You don't have to do it in a big bang anymore. So that's enormous decrease in risk compared to how it previously went.
Okay, guys, so we are moving towards the last question. So just let everyone know, if you have any questions you would like to address, now is the good time, because next we are going to go to the QA session, obviously, if there are any. So future plans in terms of B2B market for each. Who's going to answer first?
I can go. No plans really. I mean, to be honest, we are closer to expand towards marketplace features than B2B features. We've seen a huge demand on multi-vendor marketplace businesses and the features that support them, and we're already prototyping the future version of Sylius that would have the marketplace logic in the core. That your own sales could be like that. You as a merchant become the first vendor on your marketplace, and all the other vendors can be connected to the already existing logic, and that's the future. But I would say 3 years. So far, so good. We're doing in B2C and various other models. Of course, this can be used for subscription systems, ticketing systems, B2B, B2C, multi-vendor marketplaces, everything you can imagine in e-commerce. But the origins and the roadmap and the core is still heavily B2C. So honestly, we have no plans to change it too much. We would like to support the community that is building B2B features in plugins, and that's for sure. But
who would that be?
Who would that be? I don't know. Badooms, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but you can always check out the Sylius roadmap. Maybe something from the B2C is going to be super interesting for any B2B.
As I said,
as this is probably the way the e-commerce.
Actually, Guido said the division is blurry. Like a lot of features from our roadmap, if you go to sylius.com/roadmap, could be interesting for B2B. I'm just trying to be very honest. Like the honest statement is that we're not B2B oriented per se. So
yeah, you are more e-commerce oriented. But yeah, that's you're not.
Is e-commerce by definition B2C then, or how do you?
Exactly.
Yeah, obviously. Tricky question, but yet here we are to answer those tricky questions. So how about Spryker? What's on your roadmap?
Well, we are focused on B2B, but I would say that we are quite feature complete in the B2B area. So what we are doing, of course, is looking at the current clients and potential new clients, what they are looking for, and adjusting. And but it's more like that we're expanding current features than that we have plans for huge big features, unless indeed same as Sylius, that we encounter marketplaces. We offer that already. But that's probably something that we will expand more. That's I think that's less feature complete than the B2B market that we are already doing for so many years. And marketplace, I don't know, it was there when it started, but I think that's relatively new for Spryker, so more in terms of 1 or 2 years, I think. So there's more developments ongoing there. Yeah, I mean, that's super interesting, especially if you're not a market leader in your industry. The marketplace is really interesting, because if you can get it right, if you can get the network effect right with the marketplace, like I said, you become your first seller on your own marketplace. But if you can then get a couple of others in, it's going to be really hard for the market leader to still stay the market leader if you really get that marketplace right. And that's super interesting, right? I mean, you probably can see it at the local supermarket. They also sell these premium products, but on the while they're also selling their own branded supermarket of the supermarket itself. They sell these all their own brands. What do you think that comes from? That comes from all the data they have of selling those premium products. Say, hey, this works well, that works well. We should do that ourselves. We can do it cheaper, and then take that market share.
And the marketplace technology market is very exciting. This for people that actually do e-commerce from the technology backend. If you look at, for example, SMB solutions, there are not too many actually. There was Wizaplace in France that is, as I know, having some troubles. There is Isberg also from France, and then you have upper segments. So you have Miracle, Oracommerce, and probably Spryker as well. But there is no solution that would be like 100% focused on marketplaces, and it's a super emerging trend. And as Guido said, for a relatively small company from SMB segment, I believe that Sylius could be a very nice choice. Like, unless you are too big to go for the big suits, forgive me, but yeah, Spryker would be much better fit for an enterprise marketplace. For the SMB marketplace, there is a lot of, I think, exciting moves on the market to happen between platforms. We're gonna simplify it for our clients.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Yeah, but with the value and the good content, obviously, an excellent service.
Okay, guys. So that's it regarding the questions, or is there anything you would like to add, Tim?
No, there are questions, so I'm eager.
Yeah, actually, I have one question that I received in the QA panel. However, I'm not sure whether we should answer it during this webinar. Why someone should use Sylius instead of Magento? What are the biggest benefits compared? So maybe first I'm going to answer that there's actually another webinar recorded with Tim and long-term Magento community member that's also available on our YouTube, and which
Alessandro.
Yeah, with Alessandro Rossi, exactly. And there's also a comprehensive blog post on that topic on our blog. Yet, Tim, maybe would you like to say a word or two?
I feel like every platform is getting this question for a few recent years because of Adobe acquisition, because of Magento 2, which turned out to be really buggy, and there are plenty of community initiatives that are actually helping Magento to thrive in the open source, like Hiva, for example, which is excellent. Why would you go for Sylius? There is, if you go to sylius.com/Sylius versus Magento, you would find the landing page with the comparison and the ebook of 30 pages of this comparison. Obviously my opinion is biased, so please forgive me, but well, there are plenty of reasons. So quality and stability, I would say, that you are not surprised with the bugs popping up or around without any proper test suite. So you know what happens within your platform. When there is an error, you know whether it happens because the whole core of Sylius is heavily tested. Well, that's for sure. That's for reliability and quality. Flexibility, so it's much easier to integrate with other systems. The API quality is better, although there are less ready-to-use integrations because simply our ecosystem is younger, so it's much smaller than Magento. What else? I don't know. Bitbug did plenty of migrations. I'm not sure if I'm the best one to speak. There are a lot of various reasons. I think cost. If we can speak money, usually hosting of Magento is much more costful, and you also have to bear with hundreds of features that you usually don't need. What I learned during my career is that people usually kick out like at least 50% of Magento because they don't need the whole suite. And Sylius is just giving you what you need. That's another thing. So I could go on. Maybe that's enough for the short answer. If you want to talk about it more, we can have a chat afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yet, as I said, there is quite a lot of materials recorded already on that, but obviously we are open for any discussion. So if you would like, you can always reach us over email or on Sylius Slack or LinkedIn or what have you. So always happy to have this discussion again. There was a question about my Teresa, which I answered on the chat. So yeah, actually the truth is that my Teresa runs on
free platform right now.
On free platform, yeah.
My Teresa is now having Spryker, Sylius, and Magento, but it's another story. I'm not sure we are allowed to talk about it.
Yeah, we have the logo on our website, so I can tell that it indicates that it will either run on Sylius or Shopware. Probably.
I can tell you honestly that we lost a lot of great B2B tenders with Spryker, but some of them we win sometimes, just because of the fact that I said that there are merchants that, I don't know, simply don't go well with the ready to use B2B suite. Sometimes they find their requirements too custom to be done in any other system, no matter Spryker, Magento, or even Commerce Tools or SAP. They simply need something very, very light and very easy to customize. And then Sylius shines. So still, chapeau bas to Spryker, because I think, honestly, in B2B, they are one of the leaders in the world. So start your research from Spryker when you are doing B2B, but then think if everything is there, and maybe consider Sylius.
I actually have one more question when it comes to Spryker. Maybe something that that is often asked. Is it true that if you need to learn Spryker, you need to learn German first, or it's not true anymore?
I
Because
don't believe it.
That was shopware, right?
yeah. So this
is
is
a joke about shopware, yeah.
Guys,
that was also very true about shopware, but I feel like Spryker has shifted from that idea a long time ago. But yeah, how connected are you to the German market nowadays?
Well, I have colleagues in 45 different countries, and a lot of those do not speak German. So
okay,
yeah,
I think. Come on, if you look at Germany economy, it's one of the biggest economics in the world, and they also shape with wonderful platforms, Shopware, Spryker, Commerce Tools, Intershop, etc.
Yeah.
And all of them started locally, like we did. But nowadays, Shopware and Spryker, mostly all the conferences happen in US. So it's a global solution.
And
and I mean, you always have this at-home advantage, right? And that's fine. So yeah, I guess when you look at the biggest country with number of clients, it's probably going to be Germany, because we also have the most well, the oldest partners will come from Germany, right? So that's
right.
That's the at-home advantage that you have. Yeah?
For us, the funny fact that I'm always saying on such opportunities is that people think that Sylius is a French company because of the fact that we've been relying on Symfony for 10 years, which is originally from Clichy near Paris. So it's a French framework, and every French PHP developer knows it. So we're very popular. Very popular. But in Poland, I mean, in Poland we're only growing, but in France it's crazy. Like,
in order to learn Sylius, on the other hand, you need to learn French.
You need to understand French. Yeah, a lot of discussions happen on the French channel on our Slack, and sometimes I'm regretting it's not English. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about community. Okay, guys, so that's it for now. It's been a true honor to have you, and I believe it's been a valuable discussion. We'll post it on YouTube as soon as possible, and yeah, I feel like I would be happy to meet each of you on anytime soon in real life. By the way, is someone attending to eCommerce Expo? I know, Tim, you are, but Guido?
In Berlin.
Berlin, yeah.
That's in 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, something like
that. I have not made any plans yet. There's a lot of conferences this quarter.
Yeah.
So I need to be a bit big. It seemed like every conference that was cancelled in the last half hour, the first quarter and the last quarter of last year, they still try to organize, but they've all picked the second quarter of this year to start the conferences. So I'm not sure yet, but I will be in Berlin. I mean, we have our own Excite conference going on in May. That will be in Berlin. So that's definitely something I'll be visiting. We have our customer day the day before. So there's a lot of opportunities there. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we'll soon see each other at those conferences again. I can't wait to go. It's really enjoyable to go to all these live conferences again.
Yeah.
People keep saying that, but I really feel it's true. It's really nice to go out there again. And I mean, Spryker is fully remote, which I really enjoy, but it's nice to have those touch points now and then. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, as for me, I will be in Berlin Expo on the 5th of May, I guess, on 5th and 6th, but also at K5 in the end of June in Berlin. But I would like to also take this opportunity and invite all of you, including people from Spryker, if you want, to come to the first ever Sylius conference, because our ecosystem is has grown to the verge that we need to finally gather everyone. I'm super excited about it because we have never done such a thing. We only did, local meetups, but never one conference for the whole community, which is over
Nice.
5,000 Slack users, all over the world, mostly Europe. 65 partners, a lot of customers and community members. I'm super excited, and I would love to meet actually people from other communities. I would love to do a discussion panel between other platforms. That would be great.
I would happy accept that invite and would love to do that. I actually also a couple of weeks ago I signed up for the MAG conference because I thought, well, that's interesting. I'd like to know. And do they really adhere to the microservices?
Are they really
that we shouldn't join that, or is it a bit more subtle than that? But they just canceled me. They said, okay, you're not welcome.
Wow.
So very inviting community, I guess. Yeah.
I haven't even tried.
I'm happy to join you.
I haven't even tried, but I've heard that when I saw Akeneo joining the MAG, I was thinking, where Akeneo is microservice? I didn't realize. So anyway, it's 27th of October. We're gonna launch the ticket website in a month. So be aware. And 27th of October, mark the date in your calendars. And it's in Łódź, in the heart of Poland. If you haven't visited, it's a great city. So come on. Let's see each other.
I've added it to my calendar right now.
Perfect.
So,
really good. You all. So, guys, again, a true honor to have you here. And have a nice day. Talk to you some more time soon. And enjoy the weekend. Thank you very much.
And by the way, so if anyone's listening, we're hiring, of course.
Everyone is nowadays.
Also hiring. Come on.
So are we. So
choose wisely. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.